Hi, I'm Max with Performance Pools. I'm the customer training specialist, and I'm here today to tell you about your in-ground swimming pool. There are several important aspects of owning a pool that you should know about: the circulation of the pool, the cleaning aspects of the pool, and the chemistry of the pool. And so right now we're going to go over to the circulation. I'm going to show you how your pool equipment works. This is your pool equipment. This is really where the circulation of the system takes place. This is where all the water moves through. The water gets filtered, the water gets heated, the water gets piped back out to the pool. We would recommend that you let your pool equipment run 24 hours a day. It's a way that chemicals are going to get circulated around the best, and that in turn leads to the best results with the pool throughout the course of the season. Now, there are a couple of aspects of the pool equipment that you need to know, just kind of as a weekly routine as far as checking to make sure that everything runs okay. The first aspect is here at the main pool pump itself. Now, inside of the pool pump, there is a skimmer basket that's going to pick off leaves and smaller pieces of debris that get in the pool from time to time. On a weekly basis, it's important to check this basket out to make sure that that's free of debris and that's not going to get clogged up and block water on the system. The way that you clean that basket out is as follows. Your first step is to shut your main pool pump off. Your second step is to close all three of these intake valves and also close this valve going into the filter. Now, the reason that you do that is when you leave those open and you introduce air into the pump, the water is going to back drain from the equipment into the pool, and it makes everything kind of hard to start back up. So by doing this, we isolate all the water, make it really easy to get back up and running. Now, once we've sealed off all these valves, what we do is loosen up these lock nuts and just let those fall off to the side of the pump. And then the basket actually just comes right out. You can see that we get some dirt and debris in there from time to time. It's not important that the basket is 100% sparkling clean, but you do want to make sure that there isn't going to be a major block on the flow of the water. Now, it says it kind of faintly here, but it does say front on the front of the basket, and that's going to be facing out towards the intakes. The basket sits back down in there, and this clear lid hinges on the back of the pump, and then these locks just screw back in place. They don't need to be tool tight, but you do want to make sure that they're snug there and that they're not going to allow any air to get into the system. Once you've got that sealed back up, you open up all of your valves again. No particular order on that. And turn the pump back on. Now, inside of the pump, the water is going to swirl around inside of that housing for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then it essentially kind of clears its way out. You really don't even see any water in there. Ideally, that's the way that your pump is operating. That means you have a perfect prime on the pump, and that's the best way for the system to operate. Now, from the pump, everything is normally going to pump up into the filter at a 90-degree angle here. What you can do is, if you do get an excess amount of water in the pool, you can drain the pool down. There's typically a blue hose running off of the back side of the equipment, and all you need to do to drain water out of the pool is to run this hose out onto the street and open up this valve right behind the equipment. When you open that up, the water starts piping out of the pool. That's how you drain your pool down at the end of the season, or if you get a lot of rainwater in the pool, that's the way that you would get rid of some of the rainwater. Normally, water is coming up into the filter. Now, the type of filter we have here is what's called a cartridge filter. And as far as maintenance, a cartridge filter is a very low maintenance system. Typically, most people with auto covers only have to clean those out maybe once or twice a season. The way that you can tell whether the filters are clean or dirty is by this pressure reading on the front of the filter. Now, this pressure reading is generally going to be between the ranges of 8 to 15, depending on how far away the pool equipment is from the pool and the altitude of the pool equipment versus the pool. Now, right now, with this filter, we're sitting at about 8 or 9, so we're doing pretty well. Now, as the season goes on, as dirt and debris accumulates inside of the filter, this pressure gauge is going to increase. When that pressure gauge gets about 10 points above what it's normally at, generally in the 18 to 20 range, that's your indication that your filters are fairly dirty and you want to clean those out. Now, the way that you clean those filters out is as follows. Your first step is to shut the main pool pump off. Your second step is, again, to retain that prime. The way we do that is just sealing up this one valve coming from the pump. Now, once we've got the system shut down and we've got the equipment, we've got the prime set on the equipment, what we do is there is a manual air release on the back of the filter that comes undone. That depressurizes the filter. There's also a drain on the filter This just comes undone and you start getting the water from the filter coming out of the filter. Now the goal here is to get the filter drained down enough so that you can take this black band off here. Normally if you let this open for about 30 seconds or so, that's going to get enough water out of the filter to get into the filter to clean the cartridges out. Now at that point, there is a black band around the middle of the filter that's going to come off with a 9/16 socket. This black band keeps the top half of the filter and the bottom half of the filter together. The black band is just one piece, all that's going to come off. Now at this point, the top half of the filter just comes right off and your filters are sitting right in there. And there we go. Those are what the filters look like. Now, generally, the filters need to be cleaned out on, I would say, twice a season to 3 times a season. More if you don't have an automatic cover, depending again upon how much debris gets in the pool. Now during the season, all you really need to do with these filters is rinse them out with a garden hose. Just basically get all the crud off of them that can develop throughout the course of the season. These filters have a connection piece that holds all 4 of them together. That comes off, and then each filter just pulls out individually. As you can see, we do have some buildup on the filters. Typically, the filters are going to be kind of a brownish, grayish color once the system has been running for a while. And it looks like we can rinse these out with a garden hose and throw them back in clean. Alright, so we got the filters cleaned out. Now to get this filter reassembled, these actually just sit into little grooves inside of the housing itself. First step to reassemble this is to take this connection piece, make sure all 4 filters are well snug into that. Just connects into all 4 filters. Now we can put the top half of the filter back on. And we want to make sure that this O-ring, there's a big O-ring going around the middle of the filter, want to make sure that that's in place so that we're not going to get a leak. Top half of the filter just sits back on. With this black band, loops around the middle of the filter. And then we want to get this bolt back on very snug. We actually want to make sure that the coils on this bolt are actually touching each other to make sure that we're not going to get any kind of leaking occurring on the filter. Now once you get the filter band back on tight, the next step that you want to do is start the pump back up. Now before we start the pump back up, we have to open the valve that we had sealed off to retain the prime on the pump. So we open that like that. We want to leave this manual air release open, because as we turn the pump back on, leaving this air release open is going to purge all of the air out of the filter, and once we get a little bit of water coming out of there, we can seal that up. Filter pressure will drop back down, and the filter will be filtering at a normal clean level again. Now from the filter, everything comes over to the heater. Now with the heater, it works very similarly to the heater that you have in your house. It's a thermostat setting, and the way that you control it, it's all digital control. It's going to be adjusted by this mode button. Now right now, the heater is on a standby function. That's the equivalent to the heater being off. Water will pass through the heater no matter what, but in the standby function, the heater is never going to turn on. To turn the heater on, what we want to do is click this mode button over to the pool setting, and that's going to display the current temperature of the water. Now if we want to adjust the temperature to a higher temperature, what we do is adjust the mode with this orange button. Once you set the heater to a temperature that it's higher than it's actually at, the heater is going to kick on and you're going to start heating the water. Generally, you get about 1 degree to 1.5 degrees an hour out of the heater, based on pool size and based on your heater size. Now the heater has a pressure switch which indicates how fast the water is flowing through it. If water is not flowing through at a rate of 2 pounds per square inch, the heater will not kick on. Mainly what this does is it's a safety feature where if you shut your pool pump off, the heater is going to sense there isn't a water flow, it's going to shut off automatically. Now a lot of times what will happen is if everything seems to be circulating through the system normally and your heater won't stay on, a lot of times it's because you have too much filter pressure built up, and that would be an indication that you would need to clean your filters out. Now from the heater, everything normally comes back out to the pool through these 3 valves on the left-hand side. These valves control the return jets that are in the pool. In most cases, I would recommend that you just leave those valves on all the time. You always want to make sure the water has somewhere to go, and the best way to do that is just to leave those in the on position like they are right now.